Welcome to the Get Fit Guys, quick and dirty tips to get moving and shape up. My name is Brock Armstrong and I am the Get Fit Guy. Occasionally, we all need to simply zone out and let our bodies do whatever they want to do. But if all of your workouts involve some type of distraction or other, it may be time to add some mindfulness into your workout regimen. I have addressed the idea of mindfulness and its role in fitness before. In an article that you can find over at getfitguy.quickanddirtytips.com called Mindfulness as a Fitness Motivator, I mentioned a scientific study on the associations of what is known as dispositional mindfulness with cardiovascular health. And that study concluded, and I quote, "Dispositional mindfulness is positively associated with cardiovascular health, with its associations particularly driven by smoking, body mass index, fasting glucose, and physical activity." Now, I also dug into a super cool scientific trial that examined the relationship between exercise consistency and mindfulness. And according to the authors, those who were successful at maintaining exercise tended to score higher on measures of mindfulness and acceptance. And exercisers having greater mindfulness and acceptance are less reactive, responding with a more balanced appraisal to threats to their exercise regimen, which in turn promotes increased exercise maintenance. And yet another study of 62 women over 6 months found that those who applied mindfulness meditation practices to their daily or weekly routine had a much higher level of physical exercise and general movement, and also a greater reduction in BMI than those who didn't employ mindfulness practices. Now, the type of mindfulness that all of these studies looked at is generally referred to as dispositional mindfulness, and it can be summed up like this: a keen awareness of our thoughts and feelings in the very moment that they pop into our mind. It can also be defined as a thoughtful attunement to what is going on inside your mind and body. Now, I like to think of it as a calm centeredness that keeps your focus on medium alert while still being fully present in that moment. Now, the processing of emotional and physical sensations in this way can steer, purposely or subconsciously, our responses and our choices, which in turn can actually help us achieve our goals, like an ideal body weight or an ideal body fat percentage or a 1-rep max or a sprint distance or whatever our fitness goals happen to be. Earlier in 2018, a Psychology in Sport paper addressed the idea that integrating mindfulness practices into your daily movement may lead to greater mental health benefits as well. Participants' momentary negative effect, which means stress, anxiety, or depression, was found to be lower when moving versus sitting if they were also more mindful than usual when performing that movement. Now, the researchers also found that the students in this study reported being less stressed when they were on their feet and moving, but they kicked that feeling into high gear when they reported also being more mindful. The researchers stated that, and I quote again, "It can be difficult to ask people to spend a lot of time doing moderate or vigorous activity by going to the gym or out for a run, especially if they feel stressed. But what if they don't need to change their everyday behavior and can instead focus on changing their state of mind? By becoming more mindful, we can probably see this beneficial effect without having to do a hard HIIT session every single day or crush a CrossFit WOD, by just being more mindful when we simply move around." Now, as we know from previous articles that I'll link to in the show notes at getfitguy.quickanddirtytips.com, being more active will reduce stress and anxiety, but being more mindful amplifies this effect. Now, a thing called brain training in sports is, well, it's all over the map these days, but one of the more promising versions of this new fad is actually anchored in mindfulness. In fact, there is a new sport-specific form of mindfulness training, and it's called MPEAK, and that stands for Mindful Performance Enhancement Awareness and Knowledge. So MPEAK. Now, MPEAK is based on techniques like meditation and yoga, but with a larger emphasis on facing sport-specific challenges like maintaining concentration during a long or a difficult event, or overcoming a character trait, such as perfectionism. An Italian researcher named Walter Staino, or at least I hope that's how he says his name, used the MPEAK program on some of his athletes in Denmark. He took 24 members of a national junior handball team and he split them into two groups. These two groups then did 6 weeks of either mindfulness training or just simple breathing techniques in addition to their regular training. Now, the mindfulness training consisted of 2 or 3 hours per week of MPEAK training, along with their regular use of an app called Headspace. Before and after the study, all of the athletes completed a series of cognitive and physical tests. Now, on the cognitive side, they tested for mind wandering, cognitive flexibility, and resistance to interference from outside stimuli. On the physical side, they tested for reactive agility and handball-specific agility. Now, in the end, the participants exhibited faster reaction times and got more answers right. Their minds wandered less, and they quickened their decision times and also completed the tasks more quickly and with fewer mistakes. Whereas the poor old control group, well, they stayed pretty much the same throughout the test. Now, in the post-study interview, the athletes continued to feel more focused and present in school, on the court, and in their private lives. They also reported better social competence and better sleep, which we all know is a huge bonus for anyone involved in sport or fitness or life in general. There's also an interesting thing going on in New York City where a trainer named Holly Rillinger, or at least I hope that's how she says her name, launched a new class called Lifted, which mixes HIIT, or high-intensity interval training, and meditation. Now, the idea of combining these two disciplines is to train your mind the same way you train your body, through positive thinking. By being thoughtful and more present during your training, you are more likely to be able to develop a deeper connection between your body and your mind and your spirit. Now, Coach Holly calls this balanced feeling the joy factor. Okay, now that we know the benefits and the science behind this idea of bringing mindfulness to our workouts, well, how the heck do we do it? Do we need to find a mindfulness trainer, move to New York City, or invest in that MPEAK device? Well, no. No, we do not. And I'll tell you why, beginning with finding your focus. Before beginning your workout, make sure you take a few minutes to center yourself and think about your intent of the coming workout. By intent, I mean the purpose of the workout or what you're hoping to get out of the workout. For example, I did a swim workout this morning and it was meant to build my confidence in being able to swim the entire Olympic triathlon race distance in one go with no stopping or resting at the wall. Now, another example would be a strength workout where the goal is to reinforce your perfect form during all the lifts. Now, before you'd start that workout, you picture yourself doing all of the exercises with the precise alignment, the precise form and execution that you're planning to nail. Then you go forth and nail them. Now, my next mindful tip is to be aware of your posture. Posture and alignment are both areas that are worth your focus and your attention. You want your body upright, your shoulders relaxed, your neck nice and long, your arms moving easily forward and back, your hips strong and stable, and your feet relaxed and firmly planted on the ground. Focusing on this can help you move in a more relaxed and efficient and mindful way. Once you have mastered a relaxed and strong posture, you can really enjoy the de-stressing effects of the movement that you're doing. My next mindful tip is to breathe deeply and rhythmically. Whether you're running, you're lifting, you're swimming, or you're doing yoga, your breath is also an important aspect of movement to be aware of. It's also what beginner meditators are often told to bring their focus to as a way of clearing and calming the mind. By focusing on your breath and doing your best to make it as deep and rhythmic as possible, you can actually extend your mindfulness by engaging what is called your parasympathetic nervous system. And that's the part of your nervous system that is associated with resting and digesting. My next mindfulness tip is to remind yourself why you are working out. Many of us find ourselves rushing through our workouts and getting distracted, thinking of all the things we could or should be doing instead. Remind yourself why it is actually important for you to do this workout and reflect on why you have made exercise and movement a priority in your life. And then think about how this workout will help you right now and in the future. Which brings me to my next mindfulness tip, which is see your surroundings. Just because you are getting your sweat on doesn't mean you have to ignore everything else. Try to connect with the beauty of the environment around you. Now, this is something that's easily missed when you're in a rush from the car to the gym or squeezing a workout in over your lunch hour. But for this one, you don't have to do anything other than notice something worth looking at. Then simply relax into watching for as long as your concentration or your movement or your pace allows. One runner that I coach actually reports immediately feeling rejuvenated whenever she spots a blue heron during her run workout. Now, my next tip is to hear your surroundings. Now, this one is especially effective for those of you who always wear headphones when you work out. Take a break from your favorite playlist or your favorite podcasts and allow the sounds of the people, the cars, the bikes, the animals, and the nature around you really sink in. You may even find it easier to tune into yourself if you aren't being distracted by your usual beats and shouting. And my second last tip is to appreciate your abilities. Simply take some time to give appreciation to the seemingly insignificant movements that you're doing. Take some time to appreciate how far you've come and how much you still have to learn. Remember that not everyone is able to do what you are doing right now, and try not to take that for granted. And my final mindfulness tip is practice focus and practice again. Just like yoga or meditation, mindful movement takes practice, time, and patience. Remember, you don't have to be mindful for the entire workout either, especially when you're first dabbling with this idea. Simply choose one of the ways that I just listed to be mindful for maybe the first 5 minutes of your workout and then let it go. Then center yourself, pick another way that you want to be mindful and try that one for 5 minutes. If you find that you continue to lose your focus, well, don't worry about it. You can always revisit it later. Being mindful isn't about being perfect. It's simply a practice that helps us better cope with the difficult thoughts and feelings that can cause us stress and anxiety during our workouts. So don't let that add to your stress. If you practice mindfulness during your workout or at any other time during the day, you will find that instead of being on autopilot and led by your emotions, well, you can harness the ability to anchor your mind in the present moment and the present activity. And as the scientific studies showed us, that can help us deal with life's challenges in a calm and centered yet assertive way, while also helping us to improve our athletic performance and fitness. Now, for more Zen info, meditation tips, and to join in the mindful conversation, make sure to go over to twitter.com/getfitguy or facebook.com/getfitguy and to find links to all of the studies I talked about. And to get that list of mindfulness practice, go to getfitguy.quickanddirtytips.com and look for episode 405. Now, my name is Brock Armstrong, and I am the Get Fit Guy, asking you, what are you waiting for? Go get mindful.